Hello there. Welcome back to Prehistoric Dreams, where we continue our journey exploring 100 wondrous facts about the world of dinosaurs. Thank you for taking the time to be here. And if you can, allow your body to relax a little. Take a gentle inhale and exhale slowly. Let your mind be ready to embark on a journey tens of millions of years back in time. Today, we will explore 10 new facts, which also happen to be among the most beautiful and surprising themes in the prehistoric world. Dinosaur reproduction and parenting. Have you ever wondered, how did dinosaurs incubate their eggs? Did they know how to care for their young, like birds or crocodiles do today? What did tiny, fragile hatchlings do to survive in a world full of predators? Were their species so devoted to their young that they would risk their own lives? Or species that lived in herds and raised their offspring in a way that could be called the entire community caring for a single generation? These questions, these secrets, lie right within today's chapter. So, close your eyes, relax your mind, and join me as we step into the 10 wondrous facts about the journey of reproduction, parenting, and the continuation of legacy of the most magnificent creatures in the history of the Earth. Fact 1. Fossil nests. Doorways open to time. Now, I will take you back, through time, tens of millions of years, to where the earliest secrets of giant life began, with the smallest of things, an egg. When paleontologists teach their students how to read a fossil, they often say, "This is not stone, this is a diary page." And when they touch a dinosaur nest, they often add, "And this is a page written with the final breath of an entire family." Fossil nests appear scattered across the world: Montana, USA, Argentina, China, Mongolia. Each site is a remaining fragment from a breeding season that took place 100 million years ago. Not every fossil is easy to understand. Some nests contain only a few broken eggshells. Some still hold an entire clutch. Some have eggs arranged in deliberate, bowl-like layers. But pieced together, they form a wondrous picture. Dinosaurs had family lives far more complex than we once believed. Dinosaur eggs were not as large as ostrich eggs. Many species laid eggs no bigger than a soccer ball or smaller. Why would creatures weighing several tons lay such modest eggs? The answer lies in physical limits. If an egg grows too large, its shell must be thick enough to withstand weight. But if the shell becomes too thick, the embryo cannot breathe. Thus, egg size is limited by the ability to exchange gases. A deeply meditative truth emerges. Even giants must begin from the smallest point nature allows. Many dinosaur species built nests with remarkably clear structure. Some dug pits 30–50 centimeters deep. Some arranged eggs in circles. Some stacked them in multiple layers. Some covered the clutch with vegetation to keep it warm. From a scientific perspective, these nests reveal surprising cognition and organization. From a meditative perspective, a nest resembles a ceramic bowl of time, a vessel where the origin of life is placed with the utmost care of an entire species. Dinosaurs didn't have industrial incubators, but nature is always fair. Sunlight warms the soil. Soil holds the heat through the night. Decaying plants generate warmth. Winds shield higher ground and carry warmth from the river. Some species used solar heat to incubate. Some relied on the heat of decomposing vegetation, like crocodiles and modern birds. Some chose warm sand dunes to reduce risk. Nature reminds us of a quiet truth. Life does not need complexity to be perfect. When paleontologists find hundreds of nests of the same species on a single plain, they realize dinosaurs did not raise offspring alone. They migrated in herds to specific places to lay eggs like seabirds today. The image is immense, powerful. Kilometers-long lines of hadrosaurs moving toward a riverbank, each individual placing its egg upon the earth. in the stillness of instincts millions of years old. In that moment, nature seems to step back. Only the wind remains, the shifting soil, and the silent promise of new life. A majestic scene, yet profoundly peaceful. Many fossil nests show eggs cracked from the inside. This is crucial evidence. The hatchlings emerged and left. When a dinosaur chick pushes its beak against the shell, that is its first battle for survival. No teacher, no assistance, pure instinct. If we could hear the sound of that cracking shell, it might feel like the door of time opening. When studying traces inside fossil nests, scientists can read the footprints of hatchlings, the fracture pattern of shells, the arrangement left by the mother, signs of floods sweeping through, layers of mud deposited over unhatched eggs. Every mark is a fragment of a story. Some nests show entire broods escaping safely. Some show floods wiping out a generation. Some were destroyed by predators. And in every broken fragment, we glimpse a meditative truth. No creature escapes the impermanence of nature. In Patagonia, archaeologists discovered a nesting ground spanning tens of square kilometers, thousands of eggs belonging to titanosaurs, which reached 70 tons as adults. What's astonishing? They dug small nests, laid eggs, and moved on. No guarding, no care. Why? Because their bodies were too heavy. Staying too long could collapse the ground or crush the eggs, because predators like Abelisaurus lurked nearby. But nature had its own strategy. The herd was so enormous that predators could never eat everything. Some eggs would survive. That is how titanosaurs left their footprint on history. From fossil eggs, scientists can read ancient humidity, rainfall, temperature, soil mineral composition, oxygen levels, frequency of desert storms, all of it preserved within the shell. A tiny egg holding the entire sky of a climate from 100 million years ago. Take a deep breath, and you will feel it. History does not only live in books. History lives in every grain of dust, every layer of stone, every fracture, egg structure, arrangement, nest shape, all reveal. Dinosaurs and birds are not distant relatives. Birds are the direct descendants of dinosaurs. Many theropods, relatives of T-Rex, brooded their nests by sitting on them, just like modern birds. Some shielded the eggs with outstretched wings. A famous oviraptor fossil preserves exactly that. It is one of the most beautiful moments in paleontology. A small dinosaur, lying over its nest, arms and wings spread, dying in the posture of an unyielding mother. That devotion outlives death. Fossil nests are not just stone, not just fossils, not just proof of the past. They are the low notes of the symphony of life, where nature whispers. Whether you are the largest being on the planet or a tiny creature, you, too, began as something fragile, needing protection. And when we sit still, breathe deeply, and listen to the stories told by fossil nests, we touch a very ancient, meditative truth. All life begins with a seed of hope. Fact 2. The hatching of the young. The most difficult birth in the dinosaur world. The vast land lies so silent you could almost hear the soil warming under the faint first light of dawn. Somewhere beneath the soft earth, a small but monumental event is about to unfold. A moment that, tens of millions of years ago, repeated itself countless times, yet every single time carried both hope and danger. A baby dinosaur is preparing to enter the world. Before a young dinosaur hatches, an entire miraculous journey takes place inside the egg. Many imagine an egg simply sitting still, waiting for the day it cracks open. But the truth is far more elaborate. Inside the egg, the embryo forms gradually from a tiny speck. The nervous system develops first. The heart begins beating very early. Muscles form around the bones. The lungs begin to function. The embryo absorbs calcium from the shell to build its skeleton. The eyes develop and start sensing faint light from outside. Within that warm darkness, a new life quietly weaves itself together. No one teaches it how. No adult oversees the process. This is the essence of life, knowing what it must become. When the time comes, the embryo shifts its posture. It curls inward, positioning its head toward the shell. A special structure, called an egg tooth, forms on the beak or snout. Humans need hands to open a door. A baby dinosaur has only a tiny temporary tooth to open the shell of its own existence. Modern ultrasound footage of birds hatching shows movements that scientists believe dinosaurs once made. Tiny jolts of the body, rotating inside the shell, tilting the head, pushing the shell once, pushing it twice, pushing it a third time. These are the first rhythms of survival. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine, in that primordial silence, a very small sound. Crack. You might not hear it even from a few meters away, but it is the most important sound in the entire nest. Beneath the warm soil, the egg trembles. A hair-thin fracture appears. Then, a second, tiny, curved line. Then, it spreads. This is the moment that, millions of years later, when paleontologists discover eggs cracked from within, they whisper, "It hatched by itself. It lived." People often think being born is natural and effortless, but for dinosaurs, birth was already a battle. The hatchling must kick hard against the shell, twist within a cramped space, push each fragment outward, create force despite weak muscles, avoid suffocating as its lungs adapt to new air. Many fossil eggs show shells pushed out like petals of a blooming flower. Others show a small window where the hatchling squeezed through a single opening. And many eggs never broke at all. Not every embryo had the strength to escape. This is nature's cold truth. Not every life is given the chance to enter the world. After hours or even an entire day of effort, the hatchling finally pushes its head outside. It pauses. The lungs open for their first breath. The air is raw, filled with the smell of soil, wilted leaves, and early morning moisture. This is life's deepest meditative moment, the first breath. That breath marks the transition from warm darkness to a vast, unpredictable world. Every creature, dinosaur, bird, even human, shares this moment. Many imagine dinosaurs as eternally giant and powerful, but that is true only when they are grown. A newborn dinosaur is smaller than a human hand in many species, has closed or blurry eyes, has weak, trembling legs, has thin skin, prone to losing heat, has soft bones lacking calcium, is vulnerable to nearly everything. Meanwhile, ancient crocodiles, giant lizards, prehistoric raptors, egg-eaters like Oviraptor, small theropods, even large insects, are all threats. For a newborn weighing only a few hundred grams, the world is full of danger. Yet despite their fragility, hatchlings possess a quiet miracle, pure instinctive movement. Some species stand within minutes, run within hours, hide when sensing vibrations, seek shade, move toward members of their kind. Fossil nests of Maiasaura show hatchlings stayed in the nest after birth. Their leg bones were too weak for immediate walking. Parents brought food back to the nest. But many other species differ. Hatchlings must fend for themselves immediately, run with the herd, hide beneath ferns, dig into warm soil, avoid predators by sheer instinct. From this, we see clearly a meditative truth. Every being carries its own song of survival. When a clutch hatches, the young tend to hatch together. It sounds strange, but science explains. Calls from inside the eggs, vibrations caused by the first hatchling, mechanical signals through the soil, shifts in temperature, resonating sounds, all send cues to the neighboring eggs. They wait for each other and they hatch together. Why? Because, in numbers, survival increases. Predators cannot attack all at once. Hatchlings can follow one another easily. Collective movement creates safety. This is one of nature's great lessons. An individual is fragile, but in unity, life endures. Many dinosaurs did not remain with the nest, but some, especially Maiasaura, show evidence of devoted care. Its name even means good mother lizard in discovered nests. Ground food was found inside. Hatchling bones show weeks of growth in the nest. Nests were rebuilt each breeding season. When the young hatch, they produce tiny calls, their first voices. If you placed your ear close, you could imagine the sound like cheep, cheep, mother. And from afar, the mother recognizes that tiny call among the valley's chaotic noise. An invisible thread binds the two generations. It is the warmest moment nature ever created. When a hatchling emerges, the world greets it with storms, predators, moonless nights, and scorching days. Yet it steps forward, with trembling legs, with eyes unused to the light, with a tiny heart beating fast, and with one simple, wondrous mission: to live. Hatching is the most ancient image of existence. From darkness to light, from safety to challenge, from stillness to movement, from weakness to strength. A journey every one of us, dinosaur or human, has taken. Hatching is not just the beginning of an individual, it is the rebirth of life itself. Fact number 3. The journey out of the nest, the first steps of tiny living beings. Today, we follow something small yet sacred, the moment a baby dinosaur leaves its nest, facing the vast world for the very first time. On that ancient planet, this was one of nature's harshest rites, a ritual every individual had to undergo, even if it had hatched only minutes before. After breaking the shell and releasing its first breath into the air, the hatchling still lies inside the remaining fragments of its egg. Before its eyes, the brown of the soil, roots threading through the nest, pale light filtering through the leaves, shadows of ferns cast across the ground. The tiny eyes are not fully open. The light is too strong for a creature that has just emerged from absolute darkness. Like a monk opening his eyes after hours of deep meditation, the world suddenly becomes larger, sharper, more intense. The hatchling blinks repeatedly. Its pupils slowly adjust to the brightness. Its tiny body trembles with each breath. And then comes the very first moment of awareness. It knows that there is a world outside. Breaking the shell is a battle, but leaving the shell is a journey just as difficult. The hatchling must push its weak legs against the shell, lift a head far too heavy for its body, twist its body to detach completely from the shell, find a foothold to stand up. Like a newborn child trying to crawl for the first time, every movement is stiff, clumsy, and exhausting. The eggshell cracks under its feet, making tiny sounds. Crack, crack, to the hatchling. That sound resembles the voice of the world calling it out of the darkness. When it finally stands trembling, it feels something completely unfamiliar. The wind, the early morning breeze, brushes against its paper-thin skin. It makes the little one shiver. Its eyes widen. Its breath becomes rapid and sharp. This is its first lesson that the world isn't silent like the inside of the egg. The world is always moving. The world has temperature, scent, and sound. The wind carries the smell of moist soil, rotting leaves, a nearby river, ancient pollen, and even the scent of predators lingering around. The wind is nature's first teaching. Everything changes. Nothing stays still. Baby dinosaurs are often tiny compared to their parents. For example, adult sauropods weighed tens of tons, yet their hatchlings were only the size of a cat. Young theropods like Velociraptor were as small as jungle fowl. Baby hadrosaurs, such as Maiasaura, were smaller than a turkey. Their bodies were soft-skinned, easily torn, bones still soft, weak muscles, rapid heartbeats, undeveloped lungs, unstable body temperature. But within that fragile body lay the genes of a species that survived millions of years. The instinct to flee, the reflex to avoid shadows, the ability to remember paths from a very early age, a powerful will to survive, like a delicate sprout that carries the strength of an entire forest. If the nest has many hatchlings, they often leave together, forming a small group. This group moves together, which provides advantages: higher survival rates, easier to find shelter, easier to follow the mother, harder for predators to target individuals. Fossil trackways show that many young dinosaurs moved in lines, sometimes forming long chains. Some individuals led the front, others followed closely behind. Such groups are called nursery units. And this is very strong evidence that many dinosaurs cared for their young collectively. And within that bond, they learned an important meditative truth. Walking together makes the world less frightening. When the eggs hatch and the babies rise, the world around them erupts with activity. Sounds echo, rustling leaves as they move, tiny feet stepping on soft soil, ancestral birds calling from branches, giant insects buzzing, river water splashing against the bank. Many species even produced soft chirps, like tick-tick, to signal their position. Fossil larynxes show that baby dinosaurs could communicate vocally from the moment they hatched. They called out, not from fear, but from an instinct to connect, just like how humans cry at birth to seek the first embrace. When they feel strong enough, the hatchlings begin to leave the nest. For many species, this is a crucial transition, escaping their final shield of protection to step into a boundless land. Their journey often happens in this order: standing up, finding direction through light, following the scent or sound of the mother, avoiding long shadows, signs of predators, moving toward forests or shaded regions. Science confirms that many hatchlings could orient themselves from a very young age, similar to newborn sea turtles. Instinct guides them away from their birthplace to seek shelter, food, and the path of the herd. In meditation, this moment is equivalent to the first step a person takes outside their comfort zone, realizing they must walk on their own. The moment a hatchling steps out of its nest, it becomes a target. During the Cretaceous, small dromaeosaurs like Atrociraptor, early predatory birds, giant lizards, ancient snakes, voracious insects, small theropods, all could prey upon baby dinosaurs. Some fossils even show hatchling bones inside predators' stomachs, bite marks on tiny leg bones, nests destroyed by egg-eaters, hatchlings killed by bites to the neck. Nature never favors the weak. But because of that, those who survived became astonishingly resilient. Not every species had parents that stayed, but for ones like Maiasaura, hadrosaurs, and some small theropods, the parents remained near the nest. The hatchlings would call out, listen for the response, run toward the sound, reach the spot where the parents were watching. When reunited, the parent would lower its head to sniff the baby, use its snout or beak to check it, shade it with its body, lead it to safety. Some fossils show strong attachment between parents and hatchlings from the very first day. This is one of nature's most beautiful moments, the reunion of two generations of a species that existed for over 150 million years. Once the hatchling leaves the nest, it faces harsh sunlight, sudden rain, predators, deep rivers, dense forests, open plains, the massive footsteps of other species. But still it walks, one step, then another, wobbly, staggering steps, but never stopping. In each of those steps lies a very ancient meditative lesson. No one is born strong. Strength is forged through every step taken at the beginning of life. Whether dinosaurs or humans, we all begin with those trembling first steps, steps full of fear and fragility, yet carrying a fierce will to live that nothing can extinguish. Fact number 4. The instinct to survive. The first lessons of baby dinosaurs. The wind sweeps through the subtropical shrubs. The Cretaceous sun paints a soft orange across the ancient clouds. Somewhere beneath the fern canopy, tiny beings freshly out of the nest are beginning to learn the first lessons of life. Lessons taught without words, without books, without teachers, only instinct and the world itself, the two most primal instructors of all life. After leaving the nest, a hatchling must learn to stand. What seems simple to us is its very first challenge. Its tiny legs tremble, muscles exhausted from breaking the shell, soft bones still incomplete, body weight unevenly distributed. Some species fall the moment they try to stand. Others wobble as if the ground beneath them were shifting. Yet they struggle back up, fall again, stand again. Paleontologists compare these movements to fledgling birds, and they believe many dinosaurs also experienced a similar learning to stand stage. In every unsteady step lies a gentle meditative truth. No one is born knowing how to stand. Those who stand the strongest are the ones who fell the most. At birth, many baby dinosaurs have little stored energy. They must eat immediately. Depending on the species, their early diets include small herbivores eating young leaves, moss, fern shoots, small carnivores eating insects, tiny lizards, or even carrion, large species like young sauropods nibbling soft leaves in low shrubs. Hatchlings know this without a teacher. It is the subtle programming of millions of years of evolution. Hunger pushes them to move sooner. It draws them into forests, bushes into places full of life and danger. Tiny bite marks on fossilized trees show baby dinosaurs began feeding within hours or days after hatching. They do not eat to grow. They eat so they do not die. If you look closely at a baby dinosaur, you'll see its nose constantly twitching. The reason? It is learning to smell, learning to distinguish soil, leaves, and water, learning to detect predators, learning to remember the scent of mother and herd. Dinosaurs relied heavily on their sense of smell. From birth, their brains worked intensely to decode the world through scent. Each scent is a message. Damp soil water nearby, large herbivore droppings, big animals around, usually safer in groups. Rotting flesh predators may be close. Crushed vegetation, the herd is ahead. Smelling is the first sensory meditation of ancient life. Young dinosaurs are easy prey. Thus hearing becomes one of their most important senses. They learn to distinguish heavy footsteps, possibly sauropods or large predators, quick rustling leaves, possibly small predators, strong wind, sign of a coming storm, the calls of their mother or herd. Scientists believe dinosaur hatchlings analyze sounds from very early on. Some ear structures in fossils resemble those of modern birds and reptiles. They react immediately, curl up when hearing loud noises, run when they hear hissing, freeze at unfamiliar sounds. The ancient world was full of noise, and hatchlings survived by this listening meditation. Running is not natural at birth, but it is survival skill number one for most species. Baby dinosaurs learn to run through steps, sensing danger through sound or scent, reflexively crouching, taking a short jump, running on 2 or 4 legs depending on species, learning to turn, learning to stop quickly. Fossil trackways with small footprints next to large ones show hatchlings ran close beside their mothers. Some hid under the mother's belly while running. Some ran in their own small herds. Running, for a hatchling, is not exercise. Running is the difference between life and death. Even large species like Triceratops are vulnerable as babies. Thus hiding is a primal skill, pressing beneath low bushes, lying flat to avoid casting a shadow, slipping into crevices, blending into tall grass, freezing completely at loud sounds. Some fossils reveal hatchlings once hid in tiny caves or rock cracks only they could fit into. Hiding is like still meditation. When the world outside is too dangerous, The best way to survive is to stop and become one with the surroundings. From the earliest days, baby dinosaurs must learn who wants to eat them, who is merely passing by, who may become food, who must be avoided. Examples: soft hissing, possibly a small dromaeosaur, very dangerous; loud wing flaps, possibly a hunting pterosaur, heavy breathing; large herbivore, usually safer; low growl, large predator, run immediately. Learning to identify enemies is not a choice. It is survival itself. Many fossils show young dinosaurs moving in groups. Small groups help increase survival rates, compensate for individual weaknesses, avoid being separated from the herd, find food more easily, evade predators more effectively. Maiasaura, sauropods, hadrosaurs, young ceratopsians all left fossil evidence of group travel. The world taught them walking alone is dangerous. Walking together is the path to survival. A simple yet profound meditative truth. Few people know baby dinosaurs could sense ground vibrations. When their mother or herd moved, the earth trembled slightly. Micro-vibrations traveled through the soil. The hatchling felt them through legs and bones. Even without seeing, they recognized the direction of their mother. Baby dinosaurs listened through the ground like elephants today. This helped them follow the herd, even in dense forests. Feeling the ground is a primitive form of meditation, merging with the heartbeat of the planet. As the first days pass, baby dinosaurs gradually understand an ancient truth. The world was not made to be easy. It was made for you to learn how to live. They learn to stand, to run, to hide, to eat, to identify enemies, to find the herd, to avoid danger. Through instinct alone. Nothing is easy. Nothing is guaranteed safe. But that harshness transforms a fragile hatchling into a magnificent creature, one capable of surviving the most brutal planet in Earth's history. Meditation teaches, every step through hardship brings you closer to your true nature. And the journey of a baby dinosaur is the most beautiful proof of that. Fact number 5. Parental care and nurturing. When dinosaurs were true mothers and fathers, dinosaurs were not just mighty giants. They were also devoted parents. For decades, humans once believed dinosaurs were cold, emotionless, lay their eggs and leave, like modern reptiles. But when countless nests were unearthed, that story changed completely. Today, science reveals a profoundly moving truth. Many dinosaur species cared for their young, protected them, and even raised them like modern birds. This behavior was complex, deep, and unexpectedly social. Species such as Maiasaura, Oviraptor, Troodon, many hadrosaurs, some small theropods, left behind clear evidence that they were exemplary parents of the ancient world. Fossils reveal that baby dinosaurs made sounds as soon as they hatched. Parents could recognize those calls from afar. They found their young through distinct vocal cues and scent markers. Studies of dinosaur nasal cavities show many species had highly developed senses of smell, which helped them identify their offspring in large groups. Imagine this. In thick underbrush, dozens of hatchlings run in small clusters, yet the mother still recognizes the unique voice and scent of her own child. That is not blind instinct. That is the love of an ancient creature for the next generation. Many fossils show parents spreading their bodies over the nest. Oviraptor is famous for dying in a posture with wings stretched wide, body covering the nest, head bowed to shield against a sandstorm. It died protecting its eggs from the storm, not fleeing. A beautiful meditative image to the point of heartbreak. A small being sacrificing itself for the fragile life of the generation to come. No sound, no pleading eyes, only determination, a perfect stillness in its final moment. When scientists explored the Maiasaura nesting grounds in Montana, they found Nests reused across many seasons, traces of food inside the nests, weak hatchling bones, proving the young could not walk immediately. Fossilized droppings around the nests, proving parents stayed for long periods. Compressed soil beneath nests, proving parents often sat to incubate or guard. The name Maiasaura was not chosen at random. It means good mother lizard. Maiasaura is the strongest evidence that dinosaurs had family structures, practiced parental care, and cared for their young like modern birds. Some nests even show worn baby teeth, meaning parents chewed food into small pieces to feed them. It is an emotional image, a giant dinosaur lowering its head, gently placing softened pieces of food into the tiny mouth of its young. Not every species raised their offspring for long, but many lived in massive herds, and the herd itself was the first shield for the young. For example, hadrosaurs, ceratopsians, iguanodon, some sauropods, moved in herds of hundreds. Within the herd, adults walked on the outside, young stayed in the center. When predators appeared, the herd pushed the young inward. The large adults formed a living wall. The herd fought danger through organization, not individual strength. Fossil trackways show this social formation existed for millions of years. This is nature's lesson. When you stand within your community, danger cannot easily reach you. In recent years, evidence for dinosaur parental care has grown even stronger. Mother and baby footprints side by side. Some fossils show large footprints beside small ones, matching stride patterns, similar speed, proving the mother slowed down so the young could keep up. Troodon built tiered nests, like some modern ancient birds, proving complex incubation behavior. Many species brought food back to the nest, based on fossilized droppings and plant fragments found inside nests. Small theropods guarded nests in shifts. Footprint patterns around nests show multiple individuals taking turns watching. This was an organized society, not a simple one. Young dinosaurs didn't just need food. They needed to be taught how to eat. Studies of Maiasaura teeth show baby teeth wore down in a pattern of repeated grinding motions, meaning they were fed pre-chewed food by their parents. And the parents also taught them how to use their jaws to chew. For small carnivores, parents brought food back, tore it into pieces, placed it near the hatchlings, taught them how to bite and tear. This was the beginning of hunting instincts. Parents did not just feed, parents taught how to survive. In a world full of predators, dinosaur young had to learn to run at the right signal, to react to roars, to recognize moving shadows, to detect the scent of danger. Bone studies show the leg muscles of young dinosaurs developed very quickly, proving they were trained to run early. Running was part of their first lessons. There is even evidence that parents slapped their tails on the ground to warn, produced sharp calls or deep rumbles, led their young along safe routes. This was an ancient education system crafted only by nature. The Cretaceous period had desert storms, flash floods, strong winds, hailstorms, powerful tropical cyclones. Many fossil nests were buried under mud, showing parents swept away, young, unable to flee. Entire nests submerged in landslides. But some nests show parents dug new pits, moved eggs to higher ground, shielded nests with their bodies and tails. You can imagine a massive dinosaur standing against the wind to protect a tiny clutch of eggs. A grand, solitary, love-filled image. From all scientific evidence, one truth becomes clear. Dinosaurs cared for their young not simply out of instinct. They did it to ensure the next generation could survive. In their world, fierce storms, relentless predators, harsh landscapes, unstable climates, brutal competition could wipe out an entire generation in a single day. Thus, parental care was not just the survival of a family, it was the survival of an entire species. And this is the deepest meditative lesson of this chapter. When a living being protects something weaker than itself, it is protecting the future of the very world to which it belongs. Fact number 6. The instinct to protect. The confrontations between dinosaur parents and a dangerous world. And now, imagine you are quietly stepping into that ancient morning, a morning from which millions of years have passed. Yet the traces of love have never faded. In a forest of ferns, you see a large silhouette standing guard, body leaning forward, tail spread, head lowered. It is the posture of a dinosaur protecting its young, not with roaring, not with brutality, but with the sacred instinct of a parent. Dinosaurs lived in an environment harsher than anything Earth has seen. Agile predators like Velociraptor and Dromaeosaurus, egg raiders like Oviraptor, ancient crocodiles reaching 8 meters long, giant lizards, pterosaurs with razor-sharp claws, large predators lurking from afar, such as Gorgosaurus and Daspletosaurus. The young, regardless of being herbivores or carnivores, were all targets. Imagine this, a hatchling weighing only a few hundred grams, trembling as it steps out of the nest. Immediately, dozens of eyes in the shadows turn toward it. In that world, there was no innocence. Everything happened fast, brutal, and deeply pragmatic. And it was in this environment that dinosaur love grew stronger than ever. The famous Oviraptor fossil in Mongolia shows an incredibly touching posture. Wings spread wide, body covering the eggs, head lowered, claws anchored into the ground for balance. It died in that very position. No running, no abandoning the nest, no seeking shelter. Scientists call this the posture of parental devotion. Larger species like ceratopsians defended differently, raising their horns, lowering their heads, broadening their shoulders, deliberately stepping between danger and their young. Sauropods, the giants, could not cover the young with their bodies, but they formed a circle, placing hatchlings in the center. The largest individuals used their tails to strike attackers. It was the ancient version of a family's embrace. In the ecology of the Cretaceous, eggs were high nutrition and easy to eat. Egg specialists like Oviraptor and Troodon were always lurking. You can picture the scene, the shadow of a small, swift Oviraptor slipping beneath the canopy, its body low, golden eyes glinting behind brush, footsteps light as wind, every muscle primed to dash into the nest. But dinosaur parents were far from naive. They knew subtle, abnormal sounds, strange scents near the nest, vibrations in the ground as predators approached, changes in wind direction, carrying the smell of a threat. Oviraptor was not the stupid egg thief humans once imagined, but dinosaur parents were also not helpless creatures unaware of how to protect their young. Fossils record scratch marks from Oviraptor claws beside nests, adult footprints pressed over predator tracks, partially cracked eggshells damaged mid-attack. These are traces of silent battles unseen, but filled with tension. Imagine a Daspletosaurus over 3 meters tall slowly approaching. It did not hunt eggs. It hunted dinosaur young, but herbivore herds like Maiasaura or Triceratops had an incredibly effective strategy. Adults formed an outer ring, tails sweeping to create a moving wall. Young gathered in the center, just like buffalo shielding calves today. A larger individual stepped forward, often the strongest male or a mother with young. The herd roared or produced warning calls, a sound barrier that made predators hesitate. If the predator advanced further, the adults would ram with their heads, stab with their horns, whip with their tails, use sheer body mass to intimidate or crush. In Montana, scientists found a Daspletosaurus skull dented, injuries matching the size of a Triceratops horn, predator ribs broken in the abdominal region, marks consistent with a hadrosaur tail strike, all showing that predators did not always win. A herd of dinosaurs was a force of nature, And when they protected their young, they became terrifying. No spoken language, no words. But dinosaurs had body language and sound to communicate with their offspring. Signaling forms included a low rumble, follow me, a sharp screech, predator nearby, a heavy stomp, freeze, a sweeping tail, leave this area, lowered horns, prepare to confront. Many fossilized ear structures and vocal pathways show dinosaurs could produce infrasound, like elephants. These low frequencies traveled far through the ground. Hatchlings sensed them through their leg bones. This was a primitive communication system even humans today can hardly replicate. Prehistoric nature was unforgiving. Sandstorms, flash floods, electrical storms, forest tempests, minor earthquakes, volcanic ash eruptions. Many nests were buried by natural disasters. But evidence shows parents tried to save their young, digging new, deeper holes for the eggs. Some nests, shaped like cones, indicate they were redug, using their bodies to block the wind. Footprint and tail drag marks suggest parents sheltered nests to the last moment, leading the young to higher ground. Fossil trackways show hatchlings climbing hills behind the herd. Many did not survive, but their parents' efforts remain preserved in stone. There is evidence that dinosaur mothers licked their young's wounds, sought certain plants for hatchlings, possibly mild, anti-inflammatory, slowed down to match the pace of injured young, shielded their young from being trampled by the herd. Young bones show healed fractures, proving they lived long after their injuries. We cannot claim they felt emotion like humans do, but their protection, their patience, their perseverance are all proof of a powerful nurturing instinct. From fossil traces, parents lowered their heads to touch their young, tapped gently with beak or snout, stood close to provide a sense of safety, produced steady, low sounds to calm them. This mirrors behaviors seen in mother birds touching beaks to chicks, elephants wrapping trunks around calves, lionesses licking their cubs. A meditative moment. In a world of thunderous chaos, there were moments where dinosaurs simply stood beside their young so they could feel brave. Not every battle was won. Fossils show mothers dying beside their nests, chaotic footprints around nests, predator marks mingled with mother's bones, nests buried in mud with the mother skeleton still lying above. Some mothers died fighting predators, enduring storms, protecting eggs, leading their young from floods, distracting attackers. These scenes were not written in words but carved in stone, and stone preserved these stories for tens of millions of years. The instinct to protect offspring was not random. It was the result of hundreds of millions of years of natural selection. Species that cared for their young well, protected their eggs effectively, nurtured their offspring until independence, survived longer and thrived stronger. Thus, these behaviors were not only love, they were an evolutionary legacy etched into genes across generations. In meditation, people say, love is the most enduring force across time. Dinosaurs proved this tens of millions of years ago. Fact number 7. Learning and imitation. How dinosaurs passed survival skills across generations. The Cretaceous period, where a long golden afternoon is falling over the towering fern canopies. In that light, you see a very special scene. A mother lowering her head, gently touching her young. The hatchling looks at her, then imitates every movement in a clumsy way. This is the most important moment in a dinosaur's survival journey. The moment of learning. A newborn dinosaur, eyes still blurry, always looks to its mother first. The mother lowers her head, tilts her neck, emits a steady, low sound, stands in a non-threatening posture. The hatchling lifts its head slightly, opens its eyes wide, tries to memorize its mother's face. Science suggests that many dinosaur species had excellent vision, especially theropods, relatives of T. rex, many hadrosaurs, ceratopsians. They learned from their parents' gaze where danger lies, where safety lies, which paths to avoid, where food can be found. Imagine this, a hatchling standing in the bushes, watching the direction of its mother's eyes to know which way to run. No words needed, no sound needed. It is the language of instinct, of connection across generations. Dinosaur hatchlings did not just eat to live, they ate to learn how to live. For herbivores, like Maiasaura, Iguanodon, Triceratops, parents taught their young which leaves are soft, which plants are toxic, which parts to chew first, which parts are harder to digest, where the nutrient-rich food sources are. Proof? In fossilized nests, fragments of soft, crushed plants, evenly ground, juvenile tooth marks, food brought in layered sediments. For carnivores, like Trudon and small dromaeosaurs, parents brought prey and tore it into pieces, placed it near the young, taught how to bite, taught how to maintain balance while tearing meat. From juvenile tooth marks and coprolites, we know young dinosaurs did not hunt right after hatching. They were taught, and their first lesson always began with the meal. Survival isn't just about eating. Survival is about running the right way. Hatchlings watched the way their mother or herd ran and imitated. They learned to run in curves to avoid being caught, run in zigzags to confuse predators, run in groups to avoid being isolated, run on the right or left side of the mother for safety, run slowly during long-distance travel, sprint when a predator approached. Many fossil trackways show juveniles running beside larger footprints, curving, twisting paths, indicating practice. Sudden stops, showing they rehearsed danger avoidance. Running is a meditation of awareness. One wrong step, and life can be lost. Cretaceous forests were dense, ferns rising as high as a person's waist, thick conifer clusters, sprawling needle-leaf bushes, roots lifting the soil in layers. Young dinosaurs learned to lie flat so their shadows wouldn't be seen, cover themselves with leaves, hide behind tree trunks, freeze when predators approached, choose dappled light to blend in. All of these skills they learned by watching their mothers. Fossilized petrified forests in Argentina reveal juvenile and adult footprints hidden within low vegetation zones. They use the environment to camouflage. Hiding is the meditation of silence. In stillness, life is preserved. Scientists believe young dinosaurs identified predators through sound cues, smell, gait, and posture, ground vibrations. But the fastest way to learn was always watching how their parents reacted. If the mother stood tall, a mild alert, lowered her head, raised her horns preparing to fight, emitted a soft hiss, predator approaching, ran in circles, preparing to protect the herd, stomped hard command to stay still. The hatchling memorized instantly. A young dinosaur's memory system developed rapidly, based on large olfactory lobes, sharp vision, strong survival reflexes, mimicry ability. In the first days, they could distinguish the hunting calls of Velociraptor, the loud vocalizations of ceratosaurs, the wind-carried scent of predators. In meditation, this is called the natural intelligence of vigilance. Many dinosaur species migrated seasonally, hadrosaurs traveling hundreds of kilometers, sauropods seeking greenery during dry seasons, ceratopsians moving in massive herds. Young dinosaurs had to learn to follow the herd very early. Along the journey, they learned to cross rivers, learned to walk through forests, learned to avoid swamps, learned to choose safe sleeping spots. Fossil trackways stretching tens of kilometers show juveniles walking within the herd, sometimes running ahead, then returning. Parents, always guarding from the sides or rear. This was their first lesson in walking the path of life. Dinosaurs did not speak like humans, but they communicated through sounds, hisses, low growls, stomach rumbles, foot drumming, tail sweeps, species-specific calls. Hatchlings learned every sound. Research shows many species had resonant sinus chambers, primitive vocal cords, nasal cavities capable of producing strong calls. They learned the call for their mother, the alarm call, the call to find the herd, the call signaling where they were. Some fossils show hatchlings standing near their mothers, opening their mouths in imitation. Signs of voice training, similar to birds. Calls were the first thread connecting the young to the world. Dinosaurs lived in a highly unstable climate. Massive storms, jungle rains, droughts, landslides, constantly shifting winds. Young dinosaurs learned from their mothers how to avoid rising water, how to find shade in extreme heat, how to walk against the wind to avoid predator scent, how to find shelter before a storm. Geological layers show evidence that many herds changed routes after natural disasters. This is the great lesson. Nature is both teacher and test. Every lesson, eating, running, hiding, listening, watching, orienting, was carved into a young dinosaur's brain. The hippocampus, the region processing spatial memory, was highly developed in many dinosaur species, similar to modern birds. This reveals that they remembered their paths, the scent of the herd, feeding grounds, dangerous zones. Memory is not an emotional concept. Memory is what keeps them alive. When a hatchling watched its mother, how she stood, how she moved, how she stayed alert, how she avoided danger, how she ate, how she used body language. It was learning not just skills, but how to belong to this world. In meditation, it is said, we learn not to become someone else, but to return to our true nature. Young dinosaurs did not learn to become a second mother. They learned to become strong individuals, capable of surviving among the herd, among predators, within the vast forces of nature. That is the most sacred journey of all life, to belong to the world through one's own ability. Fact number 8. Cooperation within the herd. When many generations raise one generation, imagine you are standing in the middle of a vast Cretaceous plain, where the morning sun falls upon tall grass, shimmering like thousands of tiny metallic flakes. In the distance, a dinosaur herd is moving. The large individuals stand on the outside, the smaller ones run in the middle, and the tiny hatchlings bustle inside the innermost circle. In that moment, you realize a profound truth. Dinosaurs didn't just live in herds. They raised their young in herds. Many dinosaur species lived in herds ranging from dozens, hundreds, to even thousands of individuals in the same area. Notable species include Maiasaura, Edmontosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Triceratops, many sauropods, Pachyrhinosaurus. Fossils reveal large and small footprints interwoven, multiple generations living simultaneously. Shelters reused for many years, soil distribution, coprolites and plants, showing many individuals shared the same space. A herd was not just a place to live. A herd was an educational environment. Based on the structure of many modern herd animals and paleontological evidence, scientists believe older individuals, they are the gatekeepers of the herd. They have experience in predicting storms, finding fresh plants, remembering migration routes. Strong, mature individuals, they form the outer defensive ring. When predators attack, they run ahead, engage the predator, drive it away, shield the young. Females raising young ground, they are the core of the safe zone. They care for the young, teach the young, soothe the nursery group, older juveniles, the big siblings of the herd. They lead the smaller ones, warn them of danger, share easier-to-eat food. This is a multi-generational society, similar to elephants, buffalo, or whales today. A herd does not only protect each other, a herd raises each other. When moving, the herd forms a clear structure. Outer layer bone, the largest individuals. Fossil tracks show large footprints, consistently forming the outer ring. Middle layer day, moderately sized adults. Center, the young and mothers caring for them. This structure reduces the chance of predators reaching the young, reduces wind speed at the center, preserves warmth for the hatchlings at night, helps the young learn to run in sync with the herd's rhythm, allows the herd to move extremely fast in emergencies. Fossil evidence from Canada shows circular formation patterns, proof of rotational defense, similar to how modern bison or reindeer protect their young. A key concept in biology is alloparenting, when multiple individuals help raise one generation of young. Today, this phenomenon appears in wolves, lions, elephants, whales, sparrows, and science suggests it also existed in many dinosaur species. Evidence: juvenile footprints following multiple adults, nests reused over many years, coprolites distributed in clusters, showing many individuals visited the nesting area, multiple layers of nest-covering materials. Some species, like Maiasaura, provide very strong evidence. Nests placed side by side, bones of young at different ages in the same area, suggesting communal nurseries. These scenes depict dinosaur societies far more complex than we once thought. Not just parents, the entire community raised the children. In many herds, especially hadrosaurs, scientists find footprints of juveniles that are no longer tiny, but not yet old enough to reproduce, often walking close to the central herd. Scientists believe these strong young individuals served as babysitters, helped watch the smaller young, guarded them when parents foraged, led hatchlings to water. Many modern birds do the same. Older siblings care for younger ones, protect them, while parents gather food. This shows dinosaur social behavior was not simple, it was highly developed. Dinosaurs did not teach their young alone. They taught them within the context of the herd, skills that hatchlings learned thanks to the herd. The speed of movement when the herd runs, young ones synchronize with the group's pace. How to move when predators attack, they learn to follow the herd's tail-end direction. Feeding habits, hatchlings imitate the herd during feeding. How to read wind and scent signals. When the whole herd shifts, the young learn to identify danger. Orientation during migration, the herd becomes a living map. How to walk on difficult terrain, they learn from the footprints of adults. A dinosaur's early education was not one teacher, one student. It was one herd, one generation. Fossils in Alberta, Canada show a young dinosaur ran into the center of the herd while being chased by a predator. The footprints show it ran in zigzags. The predator followed closely. The adults detected the danger. They immediately changed direction, formed a ring around the youngster, then drove the predator away. The predator's footprints stop, turn aside, and disappear. That moment is like an entire community extending its arms to protect one fragile little life. Young dinosaurs were easily separated from the herd, from falling, from walking too slowly, from turning the wrong direction while running, from being distracted by sound. In many cases, the herd would produce vocal signals, stomp the ground, so the young could follow the vibrations back. Fossils show small tracks moving parallel to large tracks after getting lost, evidence that the young found its mother again, or was found by another adult and guided back to the herd. This is one of the earliest social rescue behaviors in vertebrate history. Not every young could be saved by the herd. In extremely dangerous situations, flash floods, forest fires, violent storms, giant predators like T. rex, The herd sometimes had to leave some hatchlings behind to save the majority. Footprints show the herd suddenly changed direction. A few hatchlings failed to keep up. Their footprints end alone in one spot. This is nature's harsh truth. Not because the herd lacked affection, but because the survival of the whole depended on those difficult decisions. Meditation teaches, not all pain is meaningless. Some pain exists to protect a greater whole. Because they lived and raised young as herds, the survival rate of hatchlings increased greatly. Species thrived over millions of years. Many populations became dominant in their regions. Social behavior became an evolutionary advantage. Dinosaurs did not endure for 160 million years merely because they were large. They endured because they lived together, protected each other, and raised the next generation as one great family. In meditation, it is said, a sapling grows not by its own strength, but because the forest stands behind it. So it was with dinosaur hatchlings. They grew because an entire herd stood behind them. Fact number 9. The journey to adulthood. From wobbly steps to self-reliance in prehistoric times. Cretaceous period. The sky glows pale red like ember. A gentle breeze turns the fronds of towering ferns. Young dinosaurs walk among the herd. Small, fragile, yet overflowing with the will to live. Being born is one thing. Surviving is another. But growing up, that is the longest, most challenging, and also the most beautiful journey in a dinosaur's life. Just after leaving the nest, young dinosaurs go through a brutally difficult first week. Unstable bodies, soft bones, weak eyesight, poor sense of smell, irregular rapid heartbeat, quick exhaustion. During this first week, they learn to stand firm, learn to run after the herd, learn to find soft food, learn to recognize alarm calls, but most importantly, they learn to overcome their first fear, the fear of shadows, the fear of loud noises, the fear of being left behind, the fear of predators. In meditation, people say, fear is not something to avoid, but something to understand. Young dinosaurs understood fear by facing it every day. Dinosaurs were fast-growing animals. Many species grew 2 times, 4 times, even 10 times in size within the first month. For example, young Maiasaura gained 50-60 times their body mass in the first year. Young sauropods could gain several kilograms per day. This was not a miracle. It was the result of a powerful digestive system, bones rich in organic material, genetics optimized for rapid development, support from the herd and parents. The first month is the pivotal moment. If they survived it, their chances of living increased many times over. At first, young dinosaurs only ate soft leaves, tender shoots, berries, small insects for small carnivores. But as they grew, their teeth hardened, jaw muscles strengthened, necks elongated, chests and legs developed. They began to eat older leaves, soft twigs, larger insects, larger prey for young predators. This transition is called an ontogenetic shift, a change in diet according to age. Their early lessons about food prove that adaptation is the key to survival. As young dinosaurs grew, their senses sharpened, vision no longer blurry. They could distinguish colors, movement, shadows, signals from afar. Smell became extremely strong. It helped them to locate the herd, avoid predators, identify food. Hearing developed toward recognizing the low-frequency sounds of the herd, the faint noise of a predator's steps, the high warning calls of other species. Vibration detection through their leg bones, similar to modern elephants. Sharpened senses formed the foundation for a young dinosaur to gradually become an independent individual. When very young, dinosaurs needed their mother or mother-child group, but as they grew, they merged into groups of peers, forming a natural school, running, playing, learning, escaping predators together. Fossil trackways show groups of juveniles running with their own mini-herds, constantly shifting positions, practicing predator avoidance reflexes through chasing games. These juvenile herds were similar to young antelope or wild horse groups today. They grew up together, not alone. The ancient world was harsh, and the young learned the most from failure. They fell and learned to stand again. They ran in the wrong direction and learned to move with the herd. They ate poisonous leaves and learned to recognize dangerous smells. They were chased by predators and learned to run in zigzags. In meditation, people say, failure is the lesson nature uses to teach us the most important things. Young dinosaurs learned this with their entire bodies. As their bodies grew, legs lengthened, teeth sharpened, horns developed. In ceratopsians, crests formed in hadrosaurs, scales thickened, tails strengthened. Size became a weapon. A 6-month-old triceratops was no longer weak. It was fast enough to run, strong enough to ram, large enough that small predators no longer dared to attack. Size was their armor of maturity. In carnivores, from just a few months old, they began hunting small prey, such as lizards, primitive birds, and tiny mammals. They learned to hide, learned to coordinate with others, learned pouncing reflexes. In herbivores, they traveled farther to find tender plants, learned to pluck leaves, learned to avoid toxic plants, learned proper chewing technique. Coprolites and bite marks reveal. Young dinosaurs began independent foraging behavior very early, when they reached a certain age, from a few months to a few years, depending on species. Young dinosaurs began standing at the herd's edge, sometimes walking ahead, sometimes separating briefly from the herd, sometimes forming their own juvenile groups. This was not random behavior. It was territory testing, the beginning of self-reliant instincts, the first step toward true adulthood. No one needed to teach them. It was an ancient instinct built into all social animals. When a young dinosaur had the ability to run fast, the ability to feed itself, the ability to avoid predators, sharp senses, memory of paths and migration seasons, an understanding of the herd's body language, knowledge of how to survive in nature. It was no longer a youngster. It had become a link in the chain of life, an individual fully capable of entering the long journey ahead. Adulthood is not when the body grows large. Adulthood is when the young understand themselves, understand the world, and know how to live in harmony with nature. In meditation, there is a saying, when you understand the world is your teacher, you have grown. Dinosaurs were the same. They matured by learning from the vast and mysterious ancient world. Fact number 10. The legacy of generations, instincts, memory, and the endless continuation of dinosaur lineages. Imagine you are standing in the last sunset of a Cretaceous breeding season. The sunlight is no longer a bright gold. It has shifted into a deep amber, like the final drop of honey lingering on the edge of the sky. In the distance, you see the dinosaur herd, adults, growing juveniles, and nests with eggs either hatched or waiting to hatch. As you look upon that scene, you realize a profound truth. Dinosaurs survived for more than 160 million years, not because of their size, but because of their ability to pass down their legacy through every generation. That legacy is not preserved in rock, nor in bone, but in instinct, collective memory. social behavior, survival skills, love between generations. And all of it begins with a breeding season. Dinosaurs had no schools, no complex languages, no books, but they possessed something far stronger: genetic instinct. That instinct was carved into their genes through hundreds of millions of years of evolution, millions of cycles of natural selection, thousands of generations born and gone. Instinct helped them find safe places to build nests, know how deep to dig a burrow, know when to migrate, hide their nests from predators, avoid poisonous plants, teach their young to run, eat, and hide. Instinct is the language of life, passed from mother to child without spoken words. There is a saying in meditation: there are things that do not need to be spoken. Living is enough to understand them. Dinosaur instincts were the same. Fossils show that many dinosaur species returned to the same nesting grounds, came back to the same site year after year, migrated along the same routes for countless generations. This was no coincidence. Dinosaurs lived according to climate cycles, river pathways, soil salinity, seasonal water sources, wind directions. But most importantly, they remembered the safe places. This memory is called site fidelity, loyalty to a location. It appears in modern seabirds, sea turtles returning to the exact beach where they hatched, elephants revisiting ancestral lands. Dinosaurs were no different. They returned to the place their ancestors laid eggs, and the next generation continued the same path. This was the invisible map of time, drawn by millions of footsteps. Maiasaura, Oviraptor, many small theropods, hadrosaurs, ceratopsians, all left evidence of incubating eggs, bringing food back, guarding the nest, teaching young to avoid danger. Living in multi-generational herds, social behavior was not a separate instinct. It was behavioral heritage, something learned from the generation before. When a juvenile watched its mother defend the nest, it learned how to do the same when grown. When a young dinosaur ran with the herd to survive, it passed that behavior on to its own offspring. These behaviors continued through the years, through the generations, through climate shifts, through new threats, through countless small extinction events. It was the flow of life, unbroken. No dinosaur lived long enough to personally teach multiple generations, but their experiences were preserved through footprints, migration routes, old nesting sites, storm-sheltered areas, places predators frequented, fertile feeding grounds. The next generation, by following the herd, learned all of this without even realizing it. This is the collective memory of a species, not the memory of individuals, but the memory of an entire community. Imagine a young Maiasaura walking with the herd to the nesting ground. It does not know why, but its ancestors hatched there, and the others in the herd know, so it follows. This is memory that does not reside in a brain, but in the shared actions of thousands of individuals. In the ancient forest, when a new breeding season arrived, the following occurred. The herd returned to its nesting ground. The mothers found their old spots. They dug nests, laid eggs, and covered them carefully. Other individuals stood guard around them. The young hatched, learned to live, and grew day by day. The herd migrated, and the cycle repeated. The miracle is, everything began before the young even opened their eyes. When the egg was placed on the ground, its life journey was already shaped by the place it was born, the herd it belonged to, the behaviors of the previous generation, the breeding season of its parents. Life continued life. Dinosaurs left no journals, but nature kept their stories in fossilized eggshells, footprints, juvenile bones mixed with adult bones, destroyed nests, protected nests, migration paths, layers of soil showing long-term habitation. Every fossil is a story. Every story is a legacy. Every legacy is a piece of life's history. These stories tell us that young need the herd, The herd needs its members. Life must be protected. Life continues through the love of generations. And most importantly, Earth remembers everything, even the things no one speaks aloud. When a young dinosaur grew up, it left the juvenile group, joined the center of the herd, found a mate, built its own nest, incubated eggs, protected its own young, and at that moment, a new cycle began. When it placed its first egg on the ground, it was passing down the entire legacy of its ancestors, beginning a new breeding season, continuing a flow that lasted hundreds of millions of years. This is nature's most magical continuation, one generation gifting the world to the next. Throughout millions of years of existence, dinosaurs faced climate change, floods, droughts, volcanoes, storms, shifting sea levels, evolving predators, the emergence of new species. But through all of this, their ability to reproduce and raise young remained the foundation of their survival. That is why dinosaurs dominated grasslands, rainforests, deserts, coastal regions, valleys, plateaus. Wherever dinosaurs lived, there flowed the current of legacy. Today, birds, lizards, crocodiles, many reptiles, all carry within them fragments of dinosaur heritage. The way birds incubate eggs, the way crocodiles guard their nests, the way sparrows teach their young to fly, the way ostriches guard their chicks in groups, all are small remnants of ancient ancestral behavior. Dinosaurs did not vanish entirely. Their behavior lives on in the calls of birds, the ways wild animals raise their young, the rhythms of nature's seasons. Dinosaurs were the first teachers of the modern ecosystem. As the ancient forest falls into dusk, a young dinosaur stands beside its mother. It does not know that it carries the legacy of millions of generations. It only knows that it exists in that very moment. And someday, it will become a father or mother. It will teach its young to run, to eat, to hide, to live. Then the next generation continues, and the next after that. In meditation, people say, there is no death, only transition. There is no ending, only circles that connect.